Hello, my name is Dev, and this is the first Java tutorial and the foundations of Java for Newport Robotics Group. So let's get started. This tutorial is going to mainly cover important aspects of Java, and it's not going to completely cover everything, but what is most needed for robotics. So let's get started. Java is basically a programming language, and what a programming language does in simple sense is it provides the user, the computer user, to communicate with the computer and tell it what to do. So that is basically what a programming language is, and it's not limited only to that. There's so many functionalities that the programming language does, and Java is one of the programming language. And Java, it can be used to create apps and so many other softwares, so many like other softwares that is really useful nowadays. And yeah, so Java is a object-oriented programming language. So what that means is, if we get our highlighter out here, we have a class. So the class defines state and behavior shared by a set of objects. So the objects here are dog and sheep. So basically, what this is you're programming objects that lives inside a class animal. So the objects represent specific characters in a program, and methods are used to program the objects and give it specific actions. So the ones that are highlighted right now are the methods that really describe the dog and tells it what it can do, what it must do, what it used to do. So like a lot of stuff that we can program. And another example is in English is that I have a dog named Georgia, and she can run, bark, and shed, right? In Java now, Georgia is an object which lives inside a class called dog. Now, class can be as general as you make it. It can be really specific or broad. It can be class universe, and it can have everything in there. It can be as general as you want it or as specific. And it has methods, such as run, bark, and shed. So those are the characteristics that the dog has, and you can either use them or you don't. You can choose not to use them. You don't. Georgia doesn't have to run, bark, and shed at the same time. She can do different things at different times. And another vocab term is that Georgia is an instance of a dog class. So, yeah. So let's get into it. Our first Java program. So let's open up Eclipse and let's create a class. So new class, and class names have to start uppercase. So let's name it program, and please uncheck everything if you're a beginner, mostly due to practices, and if it actually puts in a lot of stuff for you, and if you're a beginner, that's not really good. So like I said, the program lives inside the class, and here it's a public class. We'll talk about what public means later on, but it's stating that it's a class, and the class name is program, and we have an open brace and we have a closing brace. So all the program lives within the class, and there are a few exceptions on where you can type code outside the class. We'll talk about that later too. So let's get started, right? In a class, we have our main method. So it has to have one method at least, and it can be named main. And main basically defines where the program starts. People may ask, well, we have 100 lines of code here. How do we know where the program starts, right? Well, the program always looks at main, and it can be at line 2, like right what I'm going to type right now, or it's going to be at line 50. Anywhere you want it to be, and the program will recognize it, and it will start where the main starts, and it will only do what the main method says. And if the main method says, hey, refer to this other method, it will refer to the other method. So it has to have a main method. And it can be in any order. So Java syntax, inside the main method or any method, there are statements. We'll we'll discuss what int means later on, but what I want to focus in this tutorial is system.out.println and system.out.print, just system.out.print. So in a more general form, we have a class name, and we have our main method, and we have statements. All, if you see, there's this opening bracket here, closing bracket here for the class, and within the class we have a main method with opening and closing brackets. So if you want another method, you would hit enter right after this parenthesis, this brace right here, and you would type out the other method, because it has to live within the class. If you're going to type it out here, it's going to be outside the class and it's going to throw an error. So like I said before, we want to talk about print and print line. So what's the difference, right? So the difference between this statement right here and this statement right here is that print line prints a new line after printing whatever in this open parentheses, and in the parentheses we have double quotes indicating it's a string. You're going to print out a string of characters. So hi is a string of characters, and it's going to print it out. And after doing that, it's going to print out a new line after printing whatever in here. However, on the other hand, system.out.print, notice there's no ln after here, does not print out a new line, right? So, like I said, our sequence of characters is a string. And they are enclosed in double quotes, and string is actually a class. It's a predefined Java class, and there are a lot of predefined Java classes, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because there's a lot of stuff that goes within Java that Oracle has already done for you, and these classes and objects are collectively referred to as a Java API. So the fully documented one is in this link. I'm pretty sure if you just search up Java API in Google, you'll search it up and you'll get it. So let's go back. So for the main method, let's go here and look at the main method right here. So that's the main method. Get that down. Actually, here, this one, the main method right here. I can't emphasize enough, but please memorize it. This is the standard notation for the main method, and please memorize it. I encourage writing it down by hand, because if you do it by hand, it stimulates the brain and you can remember stuff more easily. So write it by hand 10 times. Just public static void main parentheses string square bracket space args closing parentheses and open bracket. Please memorize that. First write it 5 times looking at it, and the second 5 times without looking at it. So that's what I recommend. And like I said, in a class there must be at least one method, and if you're only going to have one method, that method must be main. It's the main method. So let's go write it down in our Eclipse. So so I have it memorized down. So it's public static void, and we'll talk about what these mean, and we have to give it a name. So the name is main method. So Java already knows what the main method is. If you call it something else like job or something, it won't recognize it. But if you put main is already a predefined method that they already have. So main, and then we have string, and then we have square brackets, args, args, and we have open brace and close brace. Done. So that's our main method, and we have a class. Easy enough, right? So now we want a statement. So in this tutorial, we're going to focus on print line, print ln, and print. That's it. So let's type it out. System.out.print line. Hello. Actually, let's make it print, and let's put a semicolon, enter. So for these, you don't need a open brace and a close brace because they're just statements. It's not a method. It's not a class. And we'll have another one. System. The first letter has to be capitalized. System.out. print line. This one's print line, and we're gonna have, well, hello, and end the statement with a semicolon. Always end statements with a semicolon, or it's gonna throw an error. So here we are. What do you guys think it's gonna do? Pause the video right now and visualize what it's gonna do based on what I've taught you. Alright, so basically what it does is system.out.print, it's going to print hello, and it's not going to print a new line. So if you look back here, down to here, system.out.print doesn't print out a new line. So what it means is after it executes this, it's not going to skip. It's not going to hit enter and skip to a new line. It's not going to do that. But here, however, it's going to do that because it's going to say print line. So after saying space hello, it's going to skip to a new line. So let's check if we're right. Yes, okay, and hello, hello. So here, notice I typed a space, right? You can do that, and it's going to actually print out a space right here. So yeah, so print, it's going to just print out hello, and it's going to print out hello on the same line because it's not printing out a new line, but here it is printing out a new line. You just can't see it because we're not typing anything. So if we want to actually visualize it, here, let's just copy and paste this, and let's put it down, and we'll execute it. Hello, hello. See, it printed out a new line, so everything else goes on the second line. Summary of Java program is stored in a class. Everything lives in the class, and within the class there are methods, and has to at least have one method. And if there's only one method, it's called main, has to have main. And inside main there are a series of statements. Inside main there can actually have names of other methods also, but we'll talk about that in later video. So for homework, I would like you guys to build a program that prints out my name is, in this example, it would print out my name is Achindra Dev, and I love Java on a second line. And also write a program that says go your school name. So it says go Newport High School or go Newport Robotics Group, all on one line, but use 3 separate statements. That is a must. And I would also like you guys to create a practice account. If you go to this link, we'll be assigning homework in Practice It also. So please go there, follow the instructions, and please create an account. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And yeah, so that's about it. And also in your homework, I would like you guys to use comments. So in comments, you would want to do /, and you would write out whatever you want. I wrote DAF, but it can be comment. And this won't affect the program at all. It's just commenting your work. In program, other programmers, this program is simple enough for other programs to read it. But if it's more complex programs, comments are best, and it's encouraged, and I would like you guys to use comments in your homework and explain your thinking while you're doing the program, so I can know that you guys actually understand it. And if you don't, bring it up to a discussion. Like I said, email me. I'm open, and please don't hesitate to ask questions. And that's about it. Thank you so much. See you later.